Hi and welcome to another H3D tutorial on YouTube. In this set of videos we're going to look at genetic algorithms and we're going to use Unity and some characters in there to demonstrate how genetic algorithms work. So you're going to get some practical hands-on with these characters that you can see here. So you're going to need the starter project from the link that is attached here and open that up in Unity. So I created it in Unity 2021.2.16, though you should be able to open it in newer versions. Everything we do here is code that is not dependent on any functionality that is in Unity and has been working in Unity since 2017. So while you're downloading that and setting it up, let's have a look at some theory on genetic algorithms. The field of evolutionary computing examines intelligence through environmental adaptation and survival. It attempts to simulate the process of evolution by implementing concepts such as selection, reproduction, and mutation. In short, it endeavours to replicate the genetic process involved in biological evolution computationally. Genetics concentrates on the transmission of traits from parent to offspring. It not only examines how physical characteristics such as hair and eye colour are passed to the next generation, but it also observes the transmission of behavioural traits such as temperament and intelligence. All cells in all living beings, with the exception of some viruses, store these traits in chromosomes. Chromosomes are strands of DNA molecules present in the nucleus of cells. A chromosome is divided into a number of subparts called genes. Genes are encoded with specific traits such as hair colour, height, and intellect. Each specific gene, such as that for blood type, is located in the same location on associated chromosomes in other beings of the same species. Evolutionary computing simulates the combining of chromosomes through reproduction to produce offspring. Each gene in a digital chromosome represents a binary value or basic function process. A population is created with anywhere between 100 and many thousand of individual organisms, where each individual is represented usually by a single chromosome. The number of genes in an organism will depend on its application. The population is put through its paces in a testing environment in which the organisms must perform. At the end of the test, each organism is evaluated on how well it performed. The level of performance is measured by a fitness test. This test might be based on how fast the organism completed a certain task, how many weapons it has accumulated, or how many human players it has defeated in a game. The test can be whatever the programmer deems is the best judgment of a fit organism. Once the test is complete, the failures get killed off and the best organisms remain. These organisms are then bred to create new organisms, which make up a new second generation. Once breeding is complete, first generation organisms are discarded and the new generation is put through its paces before being tested again and then bred. The process continues until an optimal population has been achieved. Let's take a look at an example from nature. Camouflage. In nature, many animals have developed colours that allow them to hide from prey. Take for example the moth. Most moths are brown, dull colours that allow them to become invisible on objects of similar colour such as trees. The theory of survival of the fittest suggests that once there were moths of all sorts of colours, but the ones easily seen by predators would have been eaten before they had time to reproduce. That would leave the darker coloured moths left to produce the next population. Since colour is specified in the genes, the colour of the parents is passed down to the offspring. Over time, this process ends up with the moth that hides the best in its particular environment. So how does this work in a program? Let's take a look. Here we have a game of click on the brightest. It's a match against a population of virtual people and the player. The colours of each little person are stored internally as the values red, green and blue that are set randomly at the start. The player has to click on the little people one by one, working from the brightest to the dullest. Each little person records how long it was before they were clicked on. The next generation of people is generated from the fittest people in the previous population. Each person is bred with every other to produce two offspring. The offspring receive red, green and blue values that are a mix of those from their parents. Which trait is inherited from which parent is left to chance.
The children in the next generation undergo the same process. Those chosen last are fittest and survive to breed the next generation. This evolution continues until an optimal population that no longer changes is reached. Without any modification to the program, the same game can be played again, where the player leaves green people until last. In this case, green is the fittest colour, and over the generations the entire population will eventually become green. Here we say that the genetic algorithm is able to learn which colour is preferred by any particular player.
So now you know what genetic algorithms are, or the basic premise of them. We're going to implement them in this file that I've given to you. What we want to do is train Zombunny to collect Easter eggs. So this program is going to generate Zombunny and Easter eggs. But first of all, I just need to make sure that you've got everything set up properly, because I've noticed that when a Unity package is coming in to this version of Unity, it seems to lose some settings with regards to layers. So first, just follow along and do these things. So click on the GA folder, go to Zombunny. Now, Zombunny should be on layer called Bunny. If Zombunny is not on the layer called Zombunny, you need to add it in there. So just drop down this list, go add layer, and put in Bunny. Now it's important that Bunny is on layer 6, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. If Bunny, you can't put Bunny on there because there's something else in here, put it somewhere else, and then remember which numbered layer that you put Bunny on. Okay, so then once you've added that in there, go back to Zombunny and add Zombunny to the bunny layer, and then go yes, change children. Right, once you've done that, we need to check the settings for your physics. Go up to the edit menu, and we're going to come down to project settings, then open this window, find the physics settings, come right down to the bottom where you've got this little table that's showing you which layers are going to interact with other layers, and find the bunny and the bunny table setting there, that cell, and untick it. What we're doing here is making sure that the physics on the bunnies are not going to interfere with each other, because that's just going to get in the road of this program. Okay, now once you've done that, if we just press play, we should end up with Zombunnies being spawned in these corners. Okay, and you can see here I've got like a Zombunny has appeared. Now they're not going to do anything right now because they don't have like a genetic algorithm brain or a set of DNA that we're going to add in the next video. But what you can do at this point is you can go to the population over in the hierarchy, this one here, and you'll be able to modify the population size and the time scale. The time scale will actually just speed up the running of your application, because trust me, later on you'll want it to go faster and faster as you're training different generations. So if we went and put 50 in here, it's going to create 50 bunnies, and it will distribute them randomly between these red starting points. So now if we press play, you'll find that there'll be more bunnies generated in the corners. If we can just pause for a moment and go into a Zombunny. So you might think there's only one rabbit just here, but you can see that there's more. And you can actually click on them. Let me see if I can grab this guy. He's down here, and bring him out. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of Zombunnies in the one location. Because they don't have colliders on them, then you're not going to find that the physics will get in the road of pushing them out. So they'll be running exactly the same animations and moving in exactly the same direction to begin with. So they're going to be a whole bunch on top of each other. The other things we should check for while we're in here, just to make sure that we're ready to go, is the egg. Make sure it's tagged egg. And the cube, which is down here, which is basically what we're creating our maze from, is tagged wall. Okay, so with that done, let me just go through how this is set up and how it's actually working. So there is, of course, the Zombunny prefab. and we'll come back to that in a moment, but it's passed through to this population value here. Okay, so this game object has a population script on it, which is going to generate 50 Zombunnies now, and the starting positions are those red boxes in each corner. Don't mess with these, okay? Leave that and the starting position as it is. The values you really want to be changing are population size, trial time, and timescale, but later, once we've actually built that functionality in. This maze here in this setting for maze should come from the maze in the hierarchy. So make sure that that's also set for you. The maze is the thing generating the maze from the cube and the egg. Now I'm not going to go through what this code is doing because it's not particularly that complex, so you can have a look how it's just generating the maze. It's not even a perfect maze, it's just basically putting boxes in a sort of maze-like setting just to give us an environment to test our algorithm in. Okay, other than that, we're all ready to start programming. So when we come back in the next video, what we're going to do is grab hold of our Zombunny and start building the DNA that will be required for its training, and also give Zombunny a brain. If you'd like to support our work, like us on YouTube, visit our website holistic3d.com, look for our courses on holistic3dlearn.com, or support us on Patreon.